Hey guys, it's me again. In today's video, we're going to be going over one of the most controversial topics that we talk about. Financing versus leasing. When do we finance? When do we lease? We're going to be going over all the pros and cons of when to become a lease operator versus when to become an owner operator. The advantages, the disadvantages, and guess what? I'm going to be showing you at the end of this video 2 pay statements. So we're actually going to compare pays of both a lease operator and an owner operator. So I'll bring out the information and then only you can decide what's best for you. Also in this video, I'm going to talk about when to become an owner operator and when is it not worth it to become an owner operator. I'm also going to be talking about the lease operator, when it's worth it to become a lease operator and when it's not worth it to become a lease operator. So guys, quick definitions before I get into the video. What is an owner operator? A traditional owner operator is a person that goes into the dealerships, purchases a truck for themselves, and then either works under their own authorities or works under a fleet. So he is not obligated to one company. He or she can go work wherever they want to. A lease operator, on the other hand, is somebody who leases a truck from a fleet or from a trucking company and works for that company. Okay, so owner operator, lease operator. One is a little bit more flexible and can go work wherever they want, and the other one is bound to working only for that one company until his lease is finished. I'm Ronen, and let's get to it. All right, guys, so let's get to it. Financing versus leasing, and also we're gonna bring up pay comparison. So I'm actually gonna be going into the pay statements of a lease operator, and I'm gonna be going over a owner operator's pay so you guys can see the difference between the two. But first of all, let's talk about when do we finance and become an owner operator. So I feel like this is a very controversial topic. I've put a list together of what I've seen over the years where drivers go wrong. So the first thing you really need is good credit. The last thing you want to do is finance a truck with bad credit, and the interest rates are going to be through the roof. I really strongly recommend that you have a very strong down payment. So I think that a good down payment when buying a truck is about 15 to 20%. Okay, nothing lower than 15, even though you can get approval for 10% down, 15 to 20% is the magical number. So in my videos, I talk a lot about finance agreements because 90% of the time when I look at these lease agreements, our hardworking truck drivers are being taken advantage of. My heart drops when I see finance agreements and drivers being charged 12 to 18% in interest rates. Over the last couple of months, I have been able to get 4 lenders on board that specialize in commercial financing and specifically that work in our industry, both in Canada and in the US. Please guys, before signing those documents, click this link below. Let them compete for your business. So when you click the link below, and you fill out this form that's literally gonna take you 20 to 30 seconds to fill out. When you hit submit, it's automatically gonna go to these 4 big lenders. And over the next couple of months, I will be adding more lenders to this link so they can all start competing for your business. Let's switch it up on them. It's time to change our industry. Hit that submit button, let them compete for your business, and never ever trust solely the recommended finance company of where you're buying your truck. The least you can do is double check their rates. And how are you gonna double check those rates? By hitting this submit button, and these 4 companies are gonna start getting in touch with you and competing for your business. Another thing that I highly recommend where I see drivers going wrong is don't have debt. When you're taking this big project on yourself to, elevate yourself from a company driver to an owner operator, the last thing you want to do is go into it with debt. So you're going to really need a cushion and a buffer zone because you really don't know what to expect the first couple of months once you become an owner operator. And the last thing that you want to do is you want to do the proper research on the company that you want to join. So that's when you should become an owner operator, when you have a good healthy 15 to 20% to put as a down payment. If you're out of debt and your credit cards are closed, and when you do the proper research on the company that you want to go into. So let's talk a little bit about advantages of financing. So we're talking about in a situation where the driver goes into the dealership, buys himself a truck, and becomes an owner operator. He plates it either he does his own authorities, or he plates it with a trucking company and runs under their authority. So the advantages of that, and number one, is you are able to move from company to company. Probably the biggest advantage that you can ask for. The second biggest thing is there's no buyouts or balloon payments. Nobody's trying to hold you into the company. Everybody wants you to succeed. So the finance company wants nothing more than for you to finish off your 40-year term. The other advantages of financing directly with the banks or a private lender is you can pay off the loan faster. So you have really good months, you have amazing months, and you have not so good months. So in the really good months, hopefully you'll be able to make a a double payment or a payment and a half. So one of the advantages of being an owner operator is that you can take advantage of becoming self-employed and have your own corporation and all of the tax benefits that come with you being incorporated. So the disadvantages of becoming an owner operator is the fact that obviously that you need the good credit. You need to have a good, healthy down payment. Your credit will get affected if you are in default. So for example, let's say if you missed one payment, or if you skipped one or two payments, or your late payment or an NSF check, your credit is going to get affected. Now, don't forget that the failure rates are really, really high. Within the first 18 months in Canada, it's 3 out of 10 that default in their payments, and in the US it's 6 out of 10 that actually 5.5 out of 10 that default in their payments. If you default, another big downfall of becoming an owner operator and not through a lease purchase program is that they will force you to pay the difference. So for example, if you have a house or if you have assets, you are going to pay off that loan, either the easy way or the hard way. They will make you sell your personal assets. So those are the biggest disadvantages. Let's go into a couple of paychecks of an owner operator just so you guys can see what these owner operators make. So again, these are guys that went to the dealership, bought their truck. So let's just quickly glance at a couple of pays of owner operators. So we'll do one van reefer and we'll do one flatbed, and hopefully that's enough. So let's take our first sample for the owner operator. Here's his gross revenue in 15 days. So again, this is the most recent pay for August 16th to August 31st, 2021. We do have a $2,500 holdback for owner operators here. Edge would be a semi-monthly payment, so twice a month they would pay this amount here. US fuel. So this driver only filled up in the US 3,293 miles. Let's look at his mileage statement. Okay, so anybody in our Van Reefer division is getting paid right now. The updated rates are $1.55 per mile. So you can see the miles that he ran. So Minnesota to Ontario, Ontario to Illinois, Illinois to Milton, where's Milton to Tennessee, Tennessee to Ohio, and then from Ohio to Mississauga, Indiana, from Indiana to Ontario, from Ontario to Georgia, from Georgia to Ontario. So this driver drives to the Midwest USA and Southeast USA. He's currently making $1.55 per mile. And in this pay statement in 15 days, he did 8,000 miles. So obviously you think to yourself, 8,000 miles, that's a lot of miles, but in reality, there could be one load that gets pushed forward or backwards. So in this situation, I believe that this last trip that he did from Georgia to Ontario was pushed back one day. He probably delivered it on the 1st, but we pushed it back to the 31st. So very high mileage, 8,000 miles in 15 days. But let's look at his pay statement. So the driver basically took home net to his pocket $8,777. So that's a driver in our Van Reefer division.
You guys are still here? Wow, my God, this was an interesting topic. So for some reason, only 20% of you are subscribed to the channel. The other 80%, you guys are taking a free ride. Subscribe to the channel, ring that bell, and make sure that the next time we take a video out, you'll get notified of it.
So let's do one more driver in our flatbed division. So this driver did 6,000 miles. Okay, this is the average probably within a 15 days. Driver in our flatbed division currently pays $1.76 per mile. All expenses are paid for. The plates are included, the insurance, the tolls, the bridges, everything is pretty much included. So the driver did did 6,000 miles, and you can see from his pay statement, here's his disability insurance, his buy down insurance, how much money he spent in fuel in Canada and how much money he spent in fuel in the US. The driver took home $6,300. Okay, so this is an owner operator. I just gave you two examples of owner operators working in our fleet. Okay, now let's get into the advantages and disadvantages of becoming a lease operator. So let's get into the advantages. So what is a lease operator? A lease operator is somebody that would walk in through the doors and would want to lease one of our trucks, our fleet trucks. We do the exact same thing. We do financing for them over the course of 3 years or 4 years. Yes, I hear a lot of horror stories about some companies' lease purchase programs, but not all companies are horrible and not all companies there are successful lease operator programs out there. But let's look at some of the advantages. The advantages is you become an owner operator with bad credit. So this is what holds a lot of people back to become owner operators. A lot of people cannot get funding. A lot of people cannot get financing because their credit is horrible. Flexibility on the down payment. So when you're buying a $100,000 or $150,000 truck, 10, 15, or 20% can range anywhere between $15,000 to $20,000 if you're buying it in a traditional way of walking into the dealership. Well, if you're doing it through a lease purchase program, I hear a lot of them out there, they just give away their trucks. We don't. We do anywhere between $2,500 to $5,000 depending on the truck that you choose within our fleet. But a down payment for us is, so $2,500 to $5,000 is a lot easier to come up with than coming up with $15,000 or $20,000. Another huge advantage of becoming a lease operator is the downtime. So for example, if you're going into a dealership to buy a truck, one of the biggest disadvantages is that the time it takes you to get the approval for funding and then to get the truck plated in today's world, with the COVID world, it probably takes about 6 weeks. So you're looking at about 2 to 3 weeks until they fund your truck, till the finance company approves your loan and funds your truck, and then you're looking for about another 2 weeks until they plate your truck. So anywhere between 4 to 6 weeks is a realistic time of how long it would take them to plate their truck. So that's another huge disadvantage between a owner operator and a lease operator. The advantage of a lease purchase program is you can become an owner operator overnight because the trucks are plated, you just sign the documents, you give your down payment of $2,500 to $5,000, and then you become a lease operator overnight. Another huge advantage about the lease purchase program is the shop rates. So when you are buying trucks from the dealerships, the shop rates have, here in Canada at least, are anywhere between $145 to $175 an hour. Whether you're going to Freightliner, Peterbilt, Volvo, Kenworth, the shop rates are through the roof. One of the advantages that you take when having a lease purchase truck is usually the trucking companies that offer the lease purchase program, their shop rates are a lot lower. So I've seen anywhere between $95 an hour till about $110, $115 an hour. So that's a big bonus. Probably the biggest advantage is the way that you can walk away from a lease purchase program. Now again, our stats are not so high when it comes to that. So usually most of the drivers that sign our lease purchase program, they usually end up owning the truck after the 4 years or 3 years or the duration that they signed the lease. I do hear out there that it's a lot worse, the stats. But we're not going to get into other companies and what they do. But the greatest thing about a lease purchase program is you don't have anybody coming after you for the penalty and the money that you owe on the lease. So you walk away from your lease, you hand in the keys, you pay your little penalty, whatever it is. But usually they won't come after you. And again, another big advantage is the fact that you are self-employed and you can take advantage of becoming a corporation over getting paid on payroll. So that's a huge plus when you're comparing a company driver to a lease operator. The disadvantages of being a lease operator is, number one, that you're tied down to one carrier. So 100% I agree with this. I mean, this is probably the biggest pitfall of the lease operator, is that you're tied down to one carrier, and the only way that you come out of it is if you buy out the truck. So for example, if one of our lease operators says, okay, you know what, I want to transition to another company, then we just basically give him the buyout of the truck. He can find his own financing, buy out the truck, and then go to wherever he pleases. But other companies I hear do not allow you the flexibility to buy out the truck and to go to a different company. So you're really tied down for the duration of the lease to that one company. Another minus is the penalty for walking away. So everybody has a penalty for walking away. So for us, for example, it's 3 months payment and you can walk away. I don't know what it is at other companies. And then another disadvantage is a lot at stake when walking away. So when you are going to walk away, if you are going to walk away, there's a lot at stake with finding another company and with going back to being a company driver. I'll show you one or two samples of a pay of a lease operator. So again, like I said, in order to get into our lease purchase program, there would have to be a $5,000 deposit, $2,500 to $5,000 deposit for the truck. Let's look at this driver here who is in our lease purchase program. The driver drove 7,100 miles in 15 days. Here is the balance on his holdback. So he does have $5,000 in his holdback. He has $1,525 bi-weekly payments. That's with HST. So this driver pays about $27.50 Canadian for his lease payment. So every 15 days, he gets $13.49 deducted from him plus HST. He has his disability insurance, his buy-down insurance, his fuel US, his fuel Canadian, and then how much cash advance he took. He does have a repair here of $90, and he does have a repair here of $1,745, which was deducted from him. So the driver took home in 15 days $5,000, $4,997. That's after he paid a repair. So guess what, guys? The lease purchase program is not always roses. You are going to have repairs, and this is a perfect example of a driver here, unit number 650, that had to pay for a repair. So this is how much he grossed out. $11,000 is what he grossed out in 15 days. And the way that he got to that is in our Van Reefer division, we pay $1.55 per mile. So whether you're an owner operator or a lease operator, you get paid exactly the same. So that's one example of a lease program. Now let's take another example, somebody in our flatbed division that's on the lease program. Flatbed division in a lease purchase program gets paid the same as owner operators, $1.76 per mile. He grossed out 11,500 miles, doing 6,322 miles. Here's what he got paid. Here's what he paid for his truck. So the biggest difference you'll see between an owner operator and a lease operator is the fact that he has an expense for his truck, which is a truck lease. So this driver pays $1,093 twice a month. So his lease payment is about $2,200 per month. Disability insurance, buy down insurance. Here's what he paid in fuel in the US, and the driver took home $6,251 net in his pocket. Is it worth it for you to become a lease operator? Only you can decide. So there you have it, the difference between financing and leasing, the pros, the cons, the advantages, the disadvantages. I've shown you four pay stubs, 2 in a flatbed division, 2 in the Van Reefer division, 1 as a lease operator, 1 as an owner operator. Hopefully you got the information that you need in order to make a decision on what you would be doing moving forward, whether you want to become a lease operator, whether you want to become an owner operator. You can also decide for yourself whether or not your pay rates are competitive. And if you're making a lot more than this, thumbs up for you, because the guys in the US, yes, I hear that all the time. You guys make a lot more than the drivers here in Canada. The ones here in Canada, you would be surprised how many calls we get into this office about owner operators and lease operators. So guys, we received so many comments on taxes on lease operators and taxes on corporations. Yes, there is taxes that a lease operator still needs to make, but there's also a whole world out there of the advantages of corporations, and I am going to be working on that video. So hold those comments, and if you want to make comments about taxes and corporations, you're more than welcome to over here. I might just use 1 or 2 of them in my next video. So there is going to be a tax video coming up on corporations and advantages of corporations and what you can and cannot do in the gray areas in taxes, what you can get away with and what you cannot get away with. So stay tuned, subscribe to the channel, and make sure that when I take out that next video that you get notified by ringing that bell. I'm Ronen. I'll catch you in the next one. Do you think you have what it takes to be one of our YouTube hosts?
Do you eat, sleep, and breathe trucking? Are you passionate when you talk about trucking topics? Our channel is currently looking for another YouTube host. So we thought, who better to ask than our 35,000 subscribers? If you think you have what it takes and you currently live in the GTA, please send over your resume to sponsorships@ettransport.ca. If you're a seasoned driver and love to inspire others to become better and educate others to become more successful, this position is definitely for you. Please feel free to reach out.